Assalamu alaikum, my name is Peyton. I am so excited to be here to talk about my journey. I think it's important to add context before I get into why I reverted, so let's get into that. Before I reverted, I couldn't exactly put myself into a specific sect of Christianity or Catholicism because I attended a Christian church and a Catholic school and I was never baptized. So it's really safe to say that I was confused, and during that time, I never made the connection that Jesus was God, and I never was taught that Jesus was God. When I was about 10 and I was sat down and told that I was expected to believe that Jesus was God, and that's what people believed, I really struggled with that fact. I had a really hard time understanding why people believed that Jesus was God, and that really strayed me away from the Christian Catholic kind of environment. With all the confusion that was happening, I very quickly started to lose faith. And then after a series of extremely unfortunate events, I did end up just completely stopping my practice around 14 years old. After I stopped practicing, I quickly started down the wrong path and just did whatever I felt like doing. I won't go into details, but it was very safe to assume that my heart was filled with just pure hate. I wasn't a good person morally by any means. When I was 19, my brother ended up passing away from a fentanyl overdose. As somebody who struggles very potently with mental illness, his death almost killed me as well. At that point in my life, I hit a low that I never thought would be possible. But also with that grief, I became extremely terrified for my brother. Although I wasn't practicing anymore, I still believed in God, and for the first time in years, I absolutely feared his wrath. The thought of my brother being punished in the hereafter is actually what ended up causing me to look for God again. The way that I saw it was, if I found God, maybe I could possibly save my brother. I obviously started by looking back into Christianity and Catholicism, and then I went and looked into Judaism. The reason that I waited so long to look into Islam is because I didn't know that Islam was Abrahamic, and I believed in God, I believed in the prophets. It was actually on TikTok that I found out that Muslims believed in the same God that I did. I started researching, and after realizing that my views aligned very well with Islam in terms of the prophet and beliefs, it was very easy for me to start my conversion. And I did decide to wait until I was 100% sure that Islam was the truth before I converted. I did convert last Ramadan, alhamdulillah, in 2023. Of course, with converting, everything about my life changed. As I had mentioned before, I struggle very potently with mental illness, and I am diagnosed with 4 different mental illnesses as of today. While my illness was not cured when I converted, I did find new coping mechanisms, and I did realize that this is my test in this world, and it's something that I can do with Allah's help. Since converting, it has become much easier to manage my symptoms and cope with my illness. Also, most reverts agree that there's this overwhelming sense of peace that you develop once you join Islam, and that never really goes away, so that's something that I've got to enjoy since converting. I find it really hard to explain, but it feels like my soul can finally breathe without it feeling like it's gonna explode. Islam has changed my life completely 100%. As crazy as it may sound to people that were raised Muslim, almost everything that I did on a daily basis was considered haram, and I had to make massive changes. Almost every single aspect of my life had to be tweaked in one way or another. It was incredibly challenging, and I would be a liar if I said that there aren't things that I miss and that I wish I could have in this dunya. But once I got rid of the things that Allah deemed unfit, I realized that my life is so much richer. A huge example of this is me getting sober. I have been very vocal about how being sober in Canada is not normal by any means, and how difficult it can be to stay sober here. To take the steps to get sober in a society that deems alcohol to be the only way to have fun was a massive step in the right direction, in my opinion. There were so many things I thought I needed that were actually causing me distress that once I got rid of, I just felt so much better. I like to tell reverts that whatever Allah takes away in this dunya, He will give back to you 10 times more in the hereafter. Telling my family was also very scary. My father is an atheist and my stepmom is Catholic. My father has always given me and my siblings religious freedom, and we were allowed to go and learn and believe in whatever we wanted to. My dad just didn't want to hear about it. You would assume, knowing this information, my dad would have had no problem with my conversion, but you are wrong. Unfortunately, in Canada, Islam is a very taboo subject, especially in the white community. The misinformation and propaganda is embedded into our brains very young. We are given almost no information on the subject and are essentially just told that it's bad. So telling my father that I was converting to the only religion he wasn't okay with was terrifying. I decided to wait until I was 100% sure I was going to convert. I had also wanted to start trying on the veil, so I had to tell him. When the time came, I just sat my stepmom and my father down and I just ripped the band-aid off. My stepmom was very confused and my father was pretty upset. You gotta understand that they were scared for me and they were wondering why I was putting myself in danger. After a long conversation and about 1,000,000 questions, my stepmom was finally on board. She finally understood that everything she thought about it was wrong and she supported me. My father did take a little bit of warming up, but I think once he saw the life changes I was making, he became on board as well. It just took a little time. One of my biggest motivators to convert was actually the hijab. When looking into Islam, I immediately fell in love with Eastern and modest fashion. I knew that even if I didn't become Muslim, I would probably put on the hijab and start dressing modestly. But please do not get it confused. Wearing the hijab full-time was very difficult for me, and I don't want to make it seem like it was easy, because it's not. I believe truly that the hijab is just another test for women. It's not comfortable to wear, it's hot, it's a sensory nightmare for neurodivergent people, and it's simply inconvenient. But that does not mean that it is not mandatory for women. I think it's important to see both sides, especially when you see a sister who is struggling to wear the hijab. I started wearing my hijab at home. I ordered a pack of 5 chiffon hijabs and 1 undercap. When I started wearing the hijab, I told myself that I would only wear it when I wanted to. And because I loved the fashion at the time, I wanted to wear it all the time when I was at home. So I did. It did take me a few months to develop the courage to wear the hijab outside, but once I did, I started to want to wear it more and more and more. There were days where I just didn't want to wear it at all, and I did give myself that freedom at first. The way that I saw it was, if I forced myself to wear the hijab, the chances of me wearing it long term throughout my lifetime were low. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably take it off. So I only wore it when I wanted to, and I did not force myself to wear it at all, and I would encourage sisters to do the same. Because once I wanted to start wearing it all the time, I've never felt inclined to take it off since. Because I gave myself the time to fall in love with the hijab, I now found all the styles that I enjoy, and I no longer feel like it's the societal expectation. I know why I wear it, and I love to wear it. I kind of treated it like riding a bike. If you are a sister and struggling to wear your hijab, don't listen to anybody's criticism, just listen to Allah. Listen to your heart and wear it just when you want to at first, only when you feel like it. I promise you, if you're patient with yourself, you will fall in love with the hijab the same way that I did. That is my story. It's a little bit bittersweet, but I couldn't be happier where I am today. Thank you guys so much for listening to my story. It means so much knowing that people are interested in everything that I've been through and what I have to say. Assalamu alaikum. I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful week.